I often, in fact, particularly when I'm trying to explain what RPath is to folks who aren't necessarily deep in the technology industry, I often draw a picture of a factory and I say, look, one of the things that's very true about the world of software is that it's almost pre-industrial. We have a lot of people, software engineers like to think of themselves as artisans, and they're really spending their time creating pieces. And then somehow all those pieces have to get put together. And that process today is still very manual, very labor intensive. So I like to think of RPath as the great big factories of the old industrial revolution, which had massive smokestacks and lots of complexity and lots of things going on inside them, that ultimately started producing integrated finished goods. Ready to run systems is what comes out. What goes in is software. Either software that you've built yourself in development, software you've sourced from an OS vendor, or perhaps componentry you've bought, middleware as we like to call it. And all those pieces have to come together, and then something has to happen to put all pieces in a box, okay? That's the simplest way I start explaining to people what is RPath. It's a factory that takes componentry, processes them automatically, and produces systems. All right, so this is like the high-level idea. I'm going to use an analogy. The automobile industry, right? We're all familiar with this, where you go to a dealership and you buy a car and the car is ready to drive, okay? All the pieces are integrated, all the parts are there, et cetera, et cetera. Software today, for most organizations, is very much not like the auto industry. It's an awful lot like more buying a kit, and then you have to put all the parts together yourself. So what RPath produces as output is akin to a finished vehicle. What we literally produce as output is a DVD or CD image that you can go and put in a brand new server you just unpacked, you bought from Dell, put it in the drive, boot it, and it will install itself. And then you've got a whole system with your application, your software, everything you want ready to use, okay? Very simple point of integration. Or even better, perhaps, produce a whole machine, a virtual machine, ready to run. As we might call them, a bootable virtual machine. And this can be in a variety of formats. It can be VMware, it can be Microsoft Hyper-V, it can be suitable for the Citrix Zen server products. It can run on any of those internal virtualization technologies, or it can run on what many folks in the industry call cloud platforms, such as Amazon EC2, or any of the offerings based around the VMware vSphere strategy, such as BlueLock, or a technology called Globus, which is used by the Department of Energy, among others. So we produce ready-to-run entire systems as our output. That's kind of the first thing that we produce. Part of the question becomes, well, how do you do that, right? How is RPath perhaps different fundamentally to the manual assembly process? Well, if you think about factories, and I'll use that metaphor again, if you think about the old world factories, there were a lot of humans involved in that process, right? There were a lot of people working the production line, putting pieces together, assembling stuff. But increasingly, we've automated. You now look inside a modern, I'll use an automobile manufacturer again, and you see a lot of robots. RPath provides a product called RBuilder, which you can think of as your robot factory. It will automatically assemble all the software elements you produce, either straight raw source code coming out of your development organization. It will take that, compile it, assemble it into finished systems. It will take RPM packages, it'll take tarballs, it'll take whatever it is that you've got. And for Windows, it'll take MSI packages. And it'll take those in and put them all together automatically using robots and produce output images, output CDs, virtual machines, cloud targets, etc. So the magic is in here, is how do we achieve this level of automation? And that's really the big difference about how RPath approaches the problem from other products that use an emphasis on automating the human activity, automating the kind of scripts that you would traditionally have run. We don't do it that way. We do it in a much more sophisticated and automated way.